So every month, I design a reading project for myself. And I read fairly consistently throughout my days. The reading project is essentially for me to deep dive into subjects, issues, or just to pull a thread. And this month, for the month of June, I decided to read three strange books. And by strange, I mean books that don't necessarily follow a narrative uh, structure or a plot trope or time linearity or character development. They're just structureless outpouring of consciousness. This is probably the closest I can come to it. Of course, there is anchoring in these books. These are brilliant books. And the books that I chose was In Watermelon Sugar. This is a seminal book on counterculture, cult classic. It's about now a town and a world made of watermelon sugar. You ask what is watermelon sugar, it is never explained in the book. Then I read This Is How You Lose the Time War. This is about two shape-shifting, time-traveling, savage assassins indulging in violent mass violence. They only meet in the book, in the first chapter and the last chapter. And it is their most gentle, tender love story. They fall in love with each other and write each other letters, which they leave across timelines for the other to find. It was most different, wonderful love story that I have read. Grief is a Thing with Feathers. This is my second time reading this book. Max Potter is a literary genius. Google him. He has written this part poem, part fiction on grief in the most raw, authentic manner. This is a story of a husband who loses a wife, two young boys who lose their mother. And the day she dies, a big giant crow moves into their house. You can say the crow is a metaphor for grief, but it's not distant grief. This is an ill-mannered crow. He abuses and throws furniture and drops truth bombs and cries violently and is aggressive with people, and probably that is what grief is. And I recommend this book always with a little bit of trigger warning, that be emotionally ready to read this book, especially if you've experienced or are experiencing grief. But this is one of the most truest depiction of grief that I have read. But read when you're emotionally ready to read it. As I went and kept reading through these books, I realized how much humans privilege facts over emotion, and how much we over rely for our stability on external structures when they are the most fragile. They are the ones that collapse most easily. And what is resilient, what prevails, are our emotions. And when we look at each other, what is common amongst us is our emotions. Our big loves, our petty jealousies, our irritations, our sulks. This is so common, irrespective of class, caste, geography. This is what is universal about human beings. These books, they didn't have worlds you could recognize. None of the external was recognizable. Timelines were not adhered to. You could one day be 40 years back and one day be 50 years ahead, and the emotion was the same. And you realize that the petty and the profound exist together. We decide what is petty and we decide what is profound in that given context. And this some degree of imposter syndrome that all of us suffer with, because we are always trying to fit into some external, a designation or a status or a money rung. And if we shift our focus to emotions, they are so universal. Everybody is feeling them. Everybody is feeling the petty and the profound at some point of time. This was a truly satisfying reading experience. This was one of my most truest reading experience in a while. Like, there were genuine realizations at the end of it. Three small, thin books, and I've written a essay on this. It's on Substack, and I have designed a reading project for July, which I hope measures up to this. I highly recommend these three books. These are very well regarded literary books, and I'll see you next month with the next reading project.